This is my modified version of Zedaphs Combrewter from Hermitcraft Season 8. Now before we start, let me give you a really brief history of Zedaphs Combrewters. Now in Hermitcraft Season 5, Zedaphs created this, the first Combrewter. Although not known as the Combrewter at the time, it was a smart brewing station where you could pick potions and the ingredients would get flung through the air into the central brewing stand. Now Zedaphs calls these Combrewters because they are brewing computers, or smart brewing stations. Now, if we hop over to Hermitcraft Season 7, sorry about the lag, this was the first officially recognized Combrewter, the Combrewter 1.0, and I love the look of this thing. It works by flinging items out from the side and into a central brewing stand, where all you do is pick each potion and they get flung in, although it unfortunately no longer works because item physics have been changed since then. Now, in Zedaphs Lab in Season 8, if we were to pop down here, we'll see the Combrewter 2.0. My opinion, the best Combrewter. Instead of only flinging the items you need, this one flings all the items through the air and then catches them with that trapdoor. Although it is a little bit broken right now, so some items are not coming through. And now here we are in Hermitcraft Season 10, the most recent version with the Combrewter 3.0. This one being more of a minigame style with the items getting flung through the air and you having to catch them instead of the machine doing it for you. Now back to this, the Combrewter 4.0 or 2.1, depending on what you want to call it. Now this one works very similarly to the Combrewter 2.0, but there are some fundamental differences that set this one apart. Turning on the machine, it takes a little bit to warm up, but once it's warmed up, you'll see that there is now 2 item streams instead of just one, both of them flinging in across each other. Now let's say that I wanted to brew a harming potion. I can flick the lever, and let's just make it splash for fun. Now, all I need to do is press this button. First off, you'll see that water bottles come from the wall instead of from the floor, and it begins catching the items out of the air. So we have the netherwort to make it an awkward potion, glistening melon slice to make it healing, fermented spider eye to turn it into harming, and then gunpowder to turn it into splash potion. The water bottles need to be flung from the wall. As to before where they were dispensed from the ground, I've now replaced it with glass so you can see the items returning. But what's actually going on the redstone side? Well, take a look outside and you'll see that this thing is spaghetti wiring galore. But it's actually really quite simple. Stripping away all of this orange wool, we can see what's really going on here. There are 2 clocks, one for each of the launchers. Each space on each clock corresponds to an item, so that by the time this repeater is fired, the same item is dispensed on the other end. There are currently 21 potion ingredients in the game, but there are 22 spots on the clock. The clocks needed to have the exact same amount of items, so there had to be an extra one. Specifically, it's this one. This extra item doesn't need to be here, but it is purely for decoration and serves no purpose. You could remove it, but that would leave a gap in the item stream. Now, a problem I had with the old version of the Combrewter 2 is that it was locational, meaning it only worked in one location. This is because hoppers in Minecraft are really funky. You see, with the old version, each one of these droppers was placed next to each other, and they all fired at the exact same time. The row of hoppers was then locked and unlocked to only let one item through at a time. And this worked, in theory. The problem with it is most items would move one hopper to the next, but some items wouldn't move. This would cause other items to skip past them, so your perfect stream of items would get completely messed up. And this was affected by the location that the hoppers were placed. So, every single one of the droppers is placed 1 block apart, instead of right next to each other. This also means that the clock is every 7 redstone ticks, instead of every 6. But this is really good, and it means that you can build this Combrewter anywhere, and it will work. I've also added the block swapper right here. That way you can walk in easily, but the items can still go through when they come through the air. Turning off the machine, you'll see that it finishes closing right back up once all the items go through. Now, something else you'll probably notice is that we are using a honey block here instead of the old trapdoor. This is because we need to catch 2 item streams at once, so the trapdoor could only catch 1. And we need to use a honey block instead of a normal block, because honey blocks have a slightly smaller hitbox than normal blocks, and this causes items to fall and just catch the hopper instead of going right next to it. But how is it so smart that it knows when to catch the items and what items to catch? Well, it's super simple. You see, Each one of these levers corresponds to pushing a piston down on the clock. If we, for example, flick down slow falling, we can come down to the clock and see that the items that are needed for the slow falling potion are flicked down. So, when the clock comes around, it will power this repeater, which goes through the block and into the pink line. The pink line then goes down to this circuit. Now, this circuit is actually slightly modified from the old design. The old circuit for some reason wouldn't work and would sometimes cause the items to get grabbed twice. So I've replaced it with this circuit using a copper bulb. But if the button is pressed and this block is moved to here, when the pink line is triggered, it will power the yellow line. And the yellow line will go up here and push down our slime block. Because there is a set amount of time from when items are launched to when items need to be catched, all that we need to do is have the piston fire at a delay from when the items are launched. Something else that's different is that the turtle helmet dispenser has been replaced with an unstackable item filter, not a sorter, a filter. This simply separates unstackable items from stackable ones. Because for some reason some items will not go through the hoppers and they'll make their way through this, they need to be dispensed back into the water stream where they can then get sorted. When the signal is traveling around the clock and it hits one of the items, it sends a signal to this neon green line, which goes to this dark green line. This dark green line tells the dispenser to fire. Now, you'll notice a lot of repeaters here, and this is because this is aligning the dropper with each item. Because when the items are initially dropped, they need to take time to travel through the hoppers into the dropper. So, these repeaters make up for that. And honestly, I'm really impressed with this machine, because it is magical when it catches the items. It can brew very complex potions. Let's say I want a slowness potion with extra potency that's also lingering. When I press the button, it just works. Like, magic. This thing amazes me. Netherwort, sugar, fermented spider eye glowstone, gunpowder, and dragon's breath. It's beautiful. Beautiful! I'm sure you've seen these colored concretes behind each item. But what do they mean? Well, if the concrete is red, it means that it only works with redstone. If it is yellow, it means that it only works with glowstone. If it is white, it means it works with either glowstone or redstone, but not both at the same time. And if it is black, it means that it works with neither glowstone or redstone. In fact, this machine is so precise that I can flick down all the pistons for one side and none for the other, and it will still work. And it looks really cool doing it. So if I flick on the lever and wait for some of the items to start coming through, then I can press the button and we can watch the magic. Like, look at this. Is that not the coolest thing? All these items are getting through and none of these are. Magic. I love this machine so much. Something else I might note is that this chest right here is for water bottles, as they need to get dispensed. Now, is this an absolutely overcomplicated way to brew potions? Yes. But is it really cool? Absolutely. The best thing about this is that if you want it, you can have it. The world download will be somewhere in the description or comments. Thank you for watching. I will see you later. Bye-bye.